Okay, we live. Hi, Abby.
Hi, Sophie. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. We're 1 hour late today and
No, we're
feeling
not
good
late.
about
We
it.
told people we just 1 hour later.
Yeah, 1 hour later. That's right.
All
That's right.
right, Abby, we have questions today.
Yes, we do. So Sophie, I'm going to read you what we have. Everyone, just for your reference, we have a page where you can submit a question for these live calls if you want. So I will post that below afterwards. If you have questions, you're very welcome to submit them. So the first is a comment. It's not written as a question. So we're going to keep these anonymous just so that you feel safe asking your questions. So if you hear this and this is your comment and you have a question around it, just write us again, okay? So the first comment is, I'm dealing with a lot of anger and depression.
And that's the call we had, I think, last week about emotions, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So check out that call from last week. And if there's a further question, then please just write us again. We're happy to answer. Okay. So Sophie, the next question is how to create an empowering context in an area where I am experiencing anxiety.
Okay. How do I create an empowering context in an area where I'm experiencing anxiety? So you start with the anxiety, right? So the anxiety, just the fact that you have anxiety tells you that you're not present, right? Because anxiety is imagining what might happen, what will happen in the future, what possibly will happen based on your past experiences, but it's past and future has got nothing to do with the present, right? So the first thing is to realize that you're trapped in an illusion. Don't push your anxiety out. Just be aware. Oh, I'm anxious. I'm not related to reality. Because reality is what is right now. That is what reality is now, 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 only the present. That's what's real, right? So once you get that, oh, okay, I'm now caught in the illusion of making up a whole narrative about what might happen if that happens and if that doesn't happen, then you need to get to what the object of your anxiety is with no story, right? So, for example, I'm frightened to run out of money, or I'm frightened my husband will leave me, or I'm frightened that my son drinks too much, right? So just get to what exactly is making you anxious, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then bring that problem into the present. So let's say I'm frightened that I will not end up my life destitute and homeless and with no money, right? So
Yeah.
you need to get yourself present to how much money you have right now. Like right now, not yesterday and not tomorrow, right now. How much money do you have right now? Are you in? Is there some bills not paid? Is there some taxes not paid? Is there some bills, whatever? Just get present to what is right now. And once you are powerfully related to reality, you take action. Do you need to get another job? Do you need to make more money? Do you need, right? There is a series of action to take.
Yes.
Okay. So the context is that you are the originator, right? The context to create, saying, I might have a circumstance, let's say I don't have enough money, or I don't know if my husband is going to leave me. But you are the originator. Don't stay the victim of the thoughts, right? So you get to be the context, and then there is action. So if you frighten your husband will leave you, you just go to your husband, you sit him down and you say, okay, I'm frightened you will leave me. I don't know if I'm making a story or if you fell in love with somebody else or if you're planning to leave me, but it gives rise to my anxiety, right? So you take the action to communicate, right? Now, if your son is drinking too much, for example, right? Same thing. there is a danger in drinking too much, right? So you go, you are the originator of whatever, of that circumstance. You sit him down, you tell him exactly what your concerns are and all that. And then the being the originator of it all and not the victim of your son, right? You need to let go of any attachment about how he should live his life.
Mm.
You see, there is always, always, always something to learn. Always, like if you frighten your spouse will leave you, do you need to learn about attachment and do you realize that you'll be okay even if he or she does? Right?
Yes.
What is there to learn? That's how I get myself in the present right now. I go and check authentically, ask the question I need to ask, take the action I need to take, say what I need to say so that I am 100% in communication, and then mostly is to let go of how I think things should be. I want them to be, wish they were, right?
Yes.
Just to be related to right now.
Sophie, can I ask you a follow-up question about that? Because I'm hearing myself in your examples, right? I can find myself in your examples. So what I find for me is that when I feel that anxious feeling, for example, in needing to have a conversation with somebody that's difficult, right? It could spin around in my mind as anxiety, or I can do what you said, get really present related to what's happening now and go have that conversation. So is what's between this and that generating courage? Like I find for myself, there's a little gap there for me between like the anxiety and knowing I need to do it. Is that
there is awareness first, right, of what you're anxious about, awareness that you are not anxious, you have anxiety, right? So you need to come back. Don't let anxiety run your life. That's the first thing, get present.
Got it.
And
okay.
then, yes, you need to have the courage to take the action.
Okay.
Right? Without actions, you know, as a human, in distance, time, and form, life happens, arises in action.
Okay.
So, yeah. So empowering context is to always look at being the originator versus being victimized, right? The moment you had the effect of low-level emotions like anxiety, humiliation, embarrassment, anger, resentment, you being victimized, right? So shift, look, where am I the originator?
Okay.
And
That's
what
good.
action would I take? That's always, if you want to have a surge of power, you always need to shift the domain inside of which you operate. Victim, originator, right? The victimization is a sufferer. You will suffer there. So the moment you suffer, shift, just look, the originator, the one that is the source of it all. And then you open up to gratefulness and being the source of it all, you power, action, and like always, right? You have to let go of all attachment.
Yeah. That's the big piece, right? Those two magic questions, they come up often.
Yes, it took a lot for me to let go of wanting to fix people. You know, you see people suffer or do things that you know they will pay for. Oh, I so wanted to stop them. And then I learned, like all of us, right, need to learn that you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, and it's not your job.
Yeah.
People have to be the originator of their own life. You've got to let people go fully on the journey they choose. That doesn't mean you don't say anything. You need to say, but not to control or try to make them do what you say. You need to just make sure that you tell what is true for you and real.
That's beautiful. That's a great distinction, Sophie, between expressing the truth, but not clinging to the other person that they do what you want them to. That's such a different.
Yeah.
That made a huge difference in my marriage, actually. That when we really learned how to communicate to each other, and just say how we're feeling without needing the other to be different, it altered our whole
I
partnership.
remember a student of mine that her son was about 17 or 18 and had totally hijacked the family, the father, the mother, and the sister. Because every time he didn't get what he wanted, he would threaten to kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he wanted money, when he didn't want to work, when he didn't want to go to school, whatever, he would just play that card. So the mother came to me and she said to me, don't tell me to not do anything. Don't tell me to stop doing what he wants me to do. It's my son. And if he threatens to kill himself, I am never going to play with that. And I looked at her and I said, oh, I totally understand. I would never do it. I'd rather be his slave for life rather than even take the slightest risk that he will take that action, right?
Yeah.
So she looked at me. She was surprised.
Yeah.
She said, what then? I said, well, tell him the truth. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, tell him what we just said. Go to see your son and tell him, listen, I want you to know you're winning. I'm your slave. You can do whatever you want. As long as you threaten to kill yourself, you have your father, your sister, and I as slave. And I want you to know it will never alter.
Wow.
Because I am not willing to take any risk.
Wow. That's powerful.
So you're winning. Just, you might want to ask yourself about what kind of human being will hijack an entire family, but, I'm not going to resist you anymore. Just tell me what you want. I'll give you my life, my money, my anything. Well, the next day, her son came to see me, was so pissed. He said, fine, then I'm going to do your seminar.
Fine then.
Yeah, fine. He was so unhappy. But he woke up.
Wow.
He woke up. He didn't even bring any awareness to the fact that he was literally hijacking his family.
Wow.
Right? So the mother said it without anger, without anything. She told the truth.
Wow. That's what they mean when they say the truth will set you free, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that.
Yeah. And it might not have worked with the little guy, but hey, it did. It's very rare if you tell a human being, I want you to know you win, I'm your slave because I'm too frightened. It's very rare, the kind of human being that would say, yeah, me, let me go on.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. Wow. That is so powerful.
Yeah. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. And if whoever's question that is, if you have follow-ups, of course, you can use the page. I'll comment below. So then we have a third one, Sophie. So the third question is, I have heard people say that our mind influences our body. What do you think about this?
Oh, totally. I've been looking after myself physically for the last 30 years that way, meaning that every single time I have a symptom, a physical symptom, I look ontologically at the level of my mind, thoughts, emotions, narrative, victimization, what I made up that is translated in my body as a symptom, right? So, and also with all the people I led to Abby, I've had people that my mother had her cancer disappear 35 years ago.
Wow.
I've had the most amazing experiences of people's bodies suddenly healing, right? Yep. Because they got to the source of it. Like I had a student that was stuttering, that stopped stuttering.
Wow.
He was 30, 35, right?
Yep.
Anyway, so it's very logical, actually. There is nothing woo-woo about it.
Yeah.
So if we look at the whole of the universe, the whole of the universe exists based on interrelatedness, right? So if I go out in the sun, I'm in relation, I feel the warmth of the sun on my skin, I'm in a relationship with the sun, right? If I say hello to somebody in the street, I'm in a relationship with that person. If I smile at them or say hello, if I touch the desk I'm in front of now, I know the desk is hard because my skin is soft, right? So we are, you know, to listen to music, I need to have my eardrum, right? So I'm in relationship with music. If I try to choose between going to work or having fun, I'm in a relationship with my personality and my mind of my thoughts and my project and my goals and my stand in life. Do you see?
Wow.
Everything is interrelated, right? If I want to give you a gift, Abby, I can't give it to you if you don't accept it.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So, and you know, I think it's scientifically proven that any emotion or any thoughts will impact your endorphins, your hormones. You know, it affects your body constantly, right? This relationship cannot be ignored.
Yes.
If you have a thought and you believe that thought, it will impact your physicalness. That's why people try positive thinking, right? I don't like positive thinking. I mean, it's not like I don't like it, but I think it's useless because it's sincere, meaning I'm well, I'm well, I'm well. You only need to persuade yourself you're well if you're not well. Do you see what I mean? So
Yes.
positive thinking calls for being negative. Otherwise, I don't need positive thinking. I don't have a negative thoughts or positive thoughts. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yes. You don't attach all that meaning to the thoughts enough for it to be negative or positive.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anything you think or feel and your environment will impact your biology. Everything. Everything. Because everything impacts everything else.
Yes.
Plants, animals, humans, rocks, there is an interdependence, right? I mean, it's easy to look for the flowers and the trees, for example, right? If there is flowers, there is no bees, and if there is no bees, there is no flowers, and you know, it's
Yes.
if there is no mushroom in the forest, there won't be moth, and if there is no moth, there won't be food or whatever, right? So in fact, the whole of the universe, it must be seen like one organism. Right? So everything depends on everything else. Everything is interconnected. Even astrologers will tell you, why do, since the beginning of time, people look in the stars and in the planets to tell you about you?
Yeah.
Because it's all interrelated.
Yes.
There is a relationship. Everything has a relationship with everything else.
Yes.
So the universe depends on every single of its member, and every single member depends on the universe. Right? So why wouldn't we think that the mind and our thoughts and what we believed and our incomplete business from the past and our resentment and our anger and our pain would not impact our body? Hello, not only does it impact our body, but it impacts everything around us.
Yes. Oh, I
Right?
love that. Yeah. You're reminding me too of a common thing that I think many people either have heard or agree with, which is there's a particular way that people say it. It's something like, I can tell what's happening in my mind by what's happening in my space. Like I can tell how disorganized my mind is or how I feel because of how my house looks, right?
Oh, yeah. You walk into somebody's house, somebody's cars, look at somebody's desk, and you know exactly what their mind is like.
Yeah. So if all of that is interrelated, then it only makes perfect sense that what's happening here is happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you said to me yesterday, I think, Abby, or no, yesterday was Sunday, but whenever you said, oh, I've looked at my wardrobe and my colors are too drab. I need colors.
Yep.
Right? You're in a relationship with colors.
Yes. Yep.
Everything. So, of course, the one of the most immediate relationship is body-mind or mind-body, right? As
Yes.
everything is in relationship. So
Beautiful. I love
again, actually, it joins with the conversation we had before. Either you're going to be in the realm of the sufferer, which a lot of people are, right? So
Yeah.
you go to medicine and drugs, and about 80%, I believe, of the medicine people take do not work.
Wow.
And that's a lot, right? Or you go to, and I'm going to go back on medicine so that everybody doesn't go crazy, because I respect medicine. I'm so happy we did so many progress, because there is a certain level that your body reaches where you then need to go to medicine.
Absolutely.
Right? Because then even if you do the work and get to the source or whatever, there is a certain point that you go too far and
Yeah.
your body has a kind of volition of itself, then
Yeah,
you
it
need
has
some help. You
momentum.
need some
Yep.
help, right? You need some help.
Yeah.
But if you catch it straight away, right? So I'm so tuned in with my body, right? For example, the last thing that happened to me was that I had a conversation with somebody that's very close to me that says something that hurt my feelings. Within 2 hours, I had an earache.
Wow.
The moment I got an earache, I stopped everything and said, what is it that I don't want to hear? And I went back to the conversation 2 hours before I went to talk to the person, the earache disappeared immediately.
Wow.
Right. So but I'm very aware and I'm very tuned in, and I don't let an infection setting in and then, whatever. I don't tolerate any physical symptom, even a headache, without getting to the source of it. You really do not have to tolerate anything
Yeah.
that is unpleasant.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember when I recently hit my foot and I hurt my toe pretty significantly. And we had a conversation very soon after that about, and I was really convinced it was broken. I was like, she's broken. I hit it hard, bruising, all the bruising. We had a conversation about what your book said about the hitting, injuring your own self on something, and like not being present and grounded in your reality. And if there's any guilt or anything that you're carrying, it can cause you to injure yourself. It was all spot on. And after that, after I got clear, I was able to just I sent a lot of energy there. I was really clear on where it was coming from. And I swear it healed up so fast. And I really thought that bone was broken. I was sure of it. It healed up so fast after that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah. My nephew was 15 when he came to live with me, which was one of the gifts of my life.
Oh,
I love him so dearly. So he comes and live with me, and I'm a bit the crazy aunt, you understand? I'm the cool aunt, but I'm the nutcase one, right? So
love that.
anyway, he goes and study to listen to a course, to a class where they spoke about marketing. And he's very pure, my nephew. He's very much in integrity, very, very, very aligned. And with that. And and then he didn't like what he heard, right? Because they told him, well, you have to put perfume in the streets so that people walk in your shop. And he discovered the manipulation side.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
The next morning he wakes up and he has an infection of the eye. How do you call it? I don't know how you call it.
Conjunctivitis or?
Yeah, but more than that, with pus.
Like a pink eye.
Yeah, pink eye, right?
That's not fun. Yep.
So yeah, not fun, especially at 15. So I said, well, what is it you really gave you pain to see? And he looked at me like that. So I explained, I had the conversation we're having now, right? And I showed him the book. By the way, Abby, we keep talking about that book. We should put the name for everybody.
Yes.
Underneath.
We'll put underneath. Yep. It's a great book.
And And so I had him read it and all that, and he went, huh, right? Like doubting me. But 8 hours later, because he got that it was what he heard and saw the day before, right? 8 hours later, his pink eyes was so much better. And the next day it was gone, right? Just like that. Well, he came to me and he said, can I have a copy of your book? And then I saw him with two of his friends on his bed reading the book. Wasn't that cute? They were looking
at 15.
I know. And he's now 27 and he travels with a book.
Wow.
So whenever he has a physical symptom, he looks for the source.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, imagine if we all had that education at that age.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a choice. That's what I want to say, right? You have a choice because it's a miracle of being human. You can either be playing poker nearly, right? Okay, I hope my body will not get sick and then go and deal with the symptoms, or you can be the originator and choose to be the originator even of your physicalness. You have the choice. And I don't like being a sufferer. I really don't like being the victim of anything.
Yeah.
Even sexual abuse. I mean, I was sexually abused when I was 17. That event had me, being abused and victimized, but that was it. That was it. That bully took something that didn't belong to him, but I am not going to be a victim for the rest of my life. Yeah. So yes, I do encourage everybody to do what they need to do to look after their body, right? Obviously, right? If you don't, then you are just totally irresponsible. Just always look for the source of a headache, of a earache, of a, sickness. Just look for the source. It is somewhere in your past.
And I'll also say that if you're a more science-minded person, the first time I learned about this, I was 19 and I was studying anthropology and I was in a medical anthropology class. And we went through a lot of studies, medical studies, where they give placebos. And we learned about the placebo effect and actually what happens. How do we actually explain the placebo effect? What happens when you have a group of 100 people, only 50 get the real pill, but 25 of the other 50 that have a placebo get well? What is that? So there is actually a lot of scientific work done on this placebo effect.
There is more and more holistic approach to disease. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. More and more.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie. This was such a great
welcome. Do you want to look if we have any comment or
yes,
questions?
I do. And everyone, as soon as we're off here, I'll put the 2 links underneath. One where you can ask questions if you'd like, and the other of the book. Okay, we do have some comments. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for being here with us. Let's see. Oh, thank you. We have a couple of great comments. Let's see. Yeah, great comments. Oh, we do have one question, Sophie. Is that good? Do you have a moment?
Yeah.
Chaitanya, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm not. That's important to me. So Chaitanya says, thoughts are random, both negative and positive thoughts. How do you deal with the negative thoughts? Maybe we talked about that.
I don't believe my thoughts. Neither what you call the positive nor the negative. I choose the one that I'm going to give my energy to, but I don't believe them because, as you say, they just happen to me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all for being here with us. Sending you a big hug.
Big hug to everybody. We speak to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Sophie.
Bye, darling.